In this paper, we present a 10-step process for synthesizing novel output views from input views using an image encoder and decoder. Firstly, we encode the input view into a low-dimensional latent representation using an image encoder. This process distills the most striking and prominent commonalities between the source and target views, allowing the encoder to focus on the image's most distinctive and descriptive qualities. Next, we use the latent representation to guide the synthesis of a novel output view through feature modulation. This is achieved by conditioning the decoder on the latent vector, which modulates the activations at each layer through adaptive group normalization. This allows for explicit control over the generative process. The decoder, implemented as a convolutional U-net, performs image denoising to estimate the noise and recover the previous view. We then introduce layer modulation and masking mechanisms to enhance the model's latent space disentanglement. Layer modulation partitions the latent vector into subvectors and modulates the respective pairs of layers in the decoder, promoting specialization among the latent subvectors. Layer masking is performed during training by zeroing out a random subset of the latent subvectors, reducing correlations and allowing for independent specialization. Our model can generate novel views based on a set of input views, and can incorporate richer forms of conditional information such as camera perspective. We also explore cross-attention as an alternative mechanism to support spatial modulation. Instead of layer-wise modulation, the latent vector is partitioned into subvectors, and cross-attention is performed between the subvectors and the decoder's activations. This aids the model in 3D novel view synthesis. Finally, we train the model using a noise schedule that promotes medium noise levels for effective representation learning. Additional settings such as adding noise to the encoder's input images and adjusting the learning rate ratio between the encoder and decoder are found to be beneficial for representation learning. Once trained, the model can be used for sampling using deep density models.